Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new Halacha for us for Friday, 21st day of April, 25th day of Nissan. Here we go. Today I want to explain to you, just in a one-day thing, the laws of Yoshon and Chadash. Here's the gist of it. Basically, the way the Torah says it is that when new crops are grown, things like wheat, when those crops are grown and harvested, you're not supposed to partake of them right away. They are at that point called chadash. They're new, and the new stuff is like, hey, hold it, don't eat it yet. And you're not supposed to eat it until after the special Omer sacrifice is brought. That's what we're in right now, the counting of Omer. And when the Omer sacrifice is brought on the second day of Pesach, after that, all of the new stuff is then permitted. Then it's called Yashan, then it's called old, and then you're allowed to eat that stuff. Okay? So basically, all grain that's out there, you'd have to know and say, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if I can eat these cookies. Are they from new stuff that's still waiting for that Omer to happen? Or are they stuff that was harvested before and they've already gone through the Omer day and then they became Yashan? So you don't know that when you look at cookies out there or pretzels or cakes or breads or anything. So if you were to follow the laws of Yashan and Chadash and wait for things to become Yashan, then there would be a lot of stuff that you couldn't just go into the stores and buy. So, but there happens to be a giant contention as to whether it applies, this law that I just said about waiting till stuff becomes Yashan, does that apply only perhaps in Israel? Maybe it only applies to stuff grown in Israel. Maybe it only applies to stuff grown by Jews. So a lot of rabbis believe that these laws of don't eat your grains yet until you know that Omer has happened, a lot of rabbis say that that applies to grain grown in Israel and out of Israel by a Jew or a non-Jew. If we were to follow those laws, and some people still do, then there would be a lot of cookies and cakes and breads that you'd say, ooh, that's from new stuff, don't eat that. Okay, but there is the opinion of the Bach, and the Bach stated that it only applies to stuff grown by Jews in Israel. And all stuff grown outside, like in America, in Poland, or whatever, he ruled that all that stuff doesn't have any of these laws of Yashan or Chadash. So that if you had wheat that was grown in Wyoming or Poland or Russia or anywhere, all that doesn't have any of these laws, and you could eat any bread, any cake, any cookie that was baked from any of those flours if they were grown outside of Israel. So that only the Bach held of that opinion, but a lot of people adopted his opinion because they felt that if they weren't going to adopt his opinion back when he issued it, then there would be like main staples like bread that a lot of Jews would just not be able to eat, and bread is a main staple. Some cakes are, and so therefore some people relied on the opinion of the Bach and said, anything grown in America, anything grown in Russia, anything grown outside of Israel doesn't have any of these laws. And a lot of people are following those rules today. That's why, even though this law might sound new to you, no one around you has ever said, hey, is that bread Yashan or Chadash? Because if it's Chadash, you shouldn't be eating it yet. And you don't often hear people saying that. That's because a lot of us are relying on the lenient opinion of the Bach today, who says that you can have bread, and all of you who have never heard of Yoshon and Chadash and say, oh my gosh, I never knew that, am I okay? You are okay according to the opinion of the Bach, and a lot of the people are relying on that opinion today. If you do hear people, and there are people out there today who are still following these laws for wheats grown in America and outside of Israel and everything by Jews and non-Jews also, so according to people following those rules, you will hear them sometimes say, is this challah baked from Yashan? Meaning, is this flour that has been held onto and in storage for a year so that it passed the Omer time? And they will actually seek that out. Some bakeries are making certain to make that available for Jews who observe these laws of Yashan and Chadash. But don't worry if you've never heard of it. You don't have to feel like you've been eating non-kosher stuff. Most of the regular stuff that you buy on the shelf, like kosher Cheerios and stuff like that, are all following the lenient opinion that we can rely on the Bach, and you can eat stuff as long as it was grown outside of Israel. It won't have the Yashan and Chadash laws. If you ever want to find out more about this was just to whet your appetite. You can go ask your rabbi more, but don't worry so much if you've been lenient on this. Lots and lots and lots of people are. Thanks for logging on. Have a great Shabbos. Log on again after Shabbos for more. Bye-bye.